Good day, everyone. So we are here to present our topic, which is ang sensory and motor mechanism sa plants and animals. So first, what is sensory and motor mechanism? Sensory, mao ni siya ang process by which ang organism mo detects stimuli from the environment and converts them into nerve signals nga ang brain maka-interpret. For example, when makakita tawag light or makadungog og sound, our brain will process that information. While motor mechanism, on the other hand, mao ni siyang ability sa plants ug animals nga mo-react or respond on what we see, hear, touch, smell, and taste. So in animals, the organs and cell that is responsible for sensory and motor mechanism are eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and skin, and also sa nerve cells or neurons. Ang sensory neurons mo-detect og stimuli gikan sa environment, such as mao ni ang light, sound, touch, or smell. And mao ni siya mo send og signals padung sa brain. While motor neurons mo carry na siya sa brain's command to the muscles para mo-produce og movement. And together, they allow animals to sense and respond sa ilang surroundings in the environment. While in plants however, plants do not have nerves or muscles, but they have specialized cells and hormones nga moact like sensory and motor mechanism or systems. So, plant cells with photoreceptors, ano siya ang nasa leaves and stems, makasense og light, while hormones like auxin help control movement, such as movement towards light. Mao ning gitawag og phototropism, or mo-grow ang roots towards the light. While naapoy gitawag nga growing roots downward, mao ni ang gravitropism. This allows plants to respond to their environment even without nervous system. Let's talk about the plants. So even though nga walay brain ang tanom, they can still respond to their environment. So naay 3 types of plant responses. Ang first, ang plant mo respond sa light. Sunod, ang plant mo respond sa gravity. And last, ang plant mo respond sa wind and touch. Under light responses, naay 3 ka terms, which is una, photomorphogenesis. So, ang photomorphogenesis is na-control siya by plant cells nga nag-contain og photoreceptor proteins, mainly found in the epidermal and mesophyll cells of the shoots, cotyledons, and young leaves. Mao ni silang mo-detect light through phytochromes, cryptochromes, and phototropins. Mao ni silang makasense sa different types of light. Once nga ma-detect nilang light, these photoreceptors mo trigger in changing the plant's growth, such as leaf extension, chlorophyll production, or ang ilang color, and the development of green parts. So in short, these cells help the plant grow properly in response to light. Ang next term is the photoperiodism. So ang photoperiodism na pod, nag-contain gihapon ni siya og cells controlled by cells containing gihapon og photoreceptor proteins. So mainly found in plants. So kani nga cells mo-detect in changing the length of day and night through photoreceptors like phytochromes. Kaning information from the cell is masent siya sa other parts of the plant, such as in shoot, apical, meristem, para mo-control sa processes like flowering, seed germination, and growth patterns. So, in short, kaning a cell helps the plant to know the right time to bloom or grow based on the amount of light nga ilang ma-receive each day. So lastly, ang phototropism. So ang phototropism, nag-control gihapon ni siya sa plant cells nga makasense og light, especially those in the shoot tip and stem. So nag-contain gihapon ning phototropism og photoreceptor proteins called morning phototropins nga ma-detect ang direction sa light. So kung ang light mo hit sa one side of the plant, ang hormone nga auxin moves to the shaded side. Mo na mag-cause sa cell to grow longer and bend the plant towards the light. So in short, kaning phototropism helps plant grow in direction of light to get more energy for photosynthesis. So in short, ang plants kay makasense gihapon and react to light even nga wala sila eyes o brain.
Now, let's discuss about gravity and how it affects plant growth. Plants respond to gravity through a process called gravitropism. The roots of a plant grow towards the pull of gravity. This is known as positive gravitropism. On the other hand, the stem grows away from gravity, which is called negative gravitropism. This response helps plants orient themselves correctly. Roots anchor the plant and absorb nutrients from the soil, while stems grow upward to reach sunlight. Inside plant cells, there are special structures called amyloblasts or statoliths. These contain starch granules that move and settle downward in response to gravity. This movement helps the plant sense directions and adjust its growth accordingly.
Wind and touch. So, ang wind and touch is nahiduha ka po nga responses. Ang una is ang thigmonastic and thigmomorphogenetic responses. So, ang responsible nga organs aning mga responses is ang epidermal and mechanosensitive cells nga mo ay mag-respond sa mechanical stimulation or ang motor cells sa mga specialized nga structures parehas nang sa fulvinous sa leaf. So, ang function sa thigmonastic response is ang rapid na movement na matrigger sa touch. Independent ni siya sa ihang direction. Example ini is ang Mimosa pudica nga ilang i-close ang ilang leaf kung kanang magunitan kana bitong hibi-hibi or sila yung term na. So mo na siya nya kanang ang usa nga response is ang thigmomorphogenesis mo na siya ang slow structural change or mas kuan siya mas baga ang stem unya short ra iyang growth kung expose sa continuous nga mechanical stress para sa anang mga wind or touch. So ang location ani nila nga mga response is makita ni sila sa leaves, sa stems, tendrils o fulvini or ang mga swollen joints sa mga base sa leaf. Ang job ani is mag-protect siya sa plant gikan sa damage. Kung makatabang siya sa pag-adapt sa structure aron maka-resist sa mga stress nga naa sa iyang palibot. So, kung ang wind ug touch mag-trigger sa plant, ang movement is mag-cause sa tubig nga move sa gawas sa motor cells. Motong mag-lead siya og loss og mga visible mga movements. So over time, kini nga stimulation nag-alter ni siya sa gene expression. Mo'y makakuan nga ang mga plants is over time mas strengthen ang ilang cell walls o ma-reduce ang elongation or mas mumubo sila. Mo ni ilang gamiton nga strategy gikan or para sa mga stress nga ilahang mabati. Animal sensory and motor mechanisms. So, ang mga animals na mga specialized sensory organs o mga motor mechanisms na mag-allow sa ilang nga makadetect og makarespond sa environmental nga stimuli. So, ang sensory mechanisms mo na siya mag-convert sa mga external stimuli para sa ng light, sound, pressure o temperature into electrical signals that the nervous system interprets. So, kintahay ang mga pressure nga nas or temperature nga nasa environment, ang sensory mechanism mo na siya mo convert. I-convert na ang mga pressure o temperature nga na-feel sa imuhang gamon nila electrical signal nga mudung sa nervous system. So, ang nervous system, mao ni mo-interpret sa mga atong external stimuli. So, while ang motor mechanism, maggamit siya sa mga muscle movements aron mo perform og response. Ang lahi ang plants kay ang animals nag-rely siya sa neural processing og fast transmission og voluntary control kaysa sa mga responses.
Moving on to the first two sensory receptors. First, let's talk about mechanoreceptors. These are sensory receptors that respond to physical pressure, vibration, and movement. They get activated whenever something touches, presses, or stretches parts of our body. These receptors are found in several organs, mainly in the skin, where they help us feel touch and pressure. They are also found in the inner ear, where they detect sound vibrations and help us maintain balance and body position. Next, we have photoreceptors. These are sensory cells that respond to light energy. They are found in the eyes, especially in the retina, which is the light-sensitive layer at the back of the eye. Photoreceptors detect light and send information to the brain so we can see. In humans, photoreceptors detect visible light, while some animals like insects can also see ultraviolet light. So photoreceptors are what makes visible possible. They help us respond to the light in our surroundings.
I'll be discussing some types of sensory receptors, specifically chemoreceptors, nociceptors, and thermoreceptors. These receptors are special parts of our body that help us detect changes in our surroundings, like taste, smell, pain, and temperature. Let's start with the first one, chemoreceptors. Chemoreceptors respond to specific molecules, often dissolved in a specific medium such as saliva or mucus, or airborne molecules. It allows animals to taste and smell. Chemoreceptors are likely the oldest of all sensory receptors. So, this means that chemoreceptors are the sensors responsible for detecting chemicals around us. They help us taste and smell. For example, when we eat food, the molecules from the food mix with our saliva and activate the chemoreceptors on our tongue. That's how we sense different taste. Similarly, when we smell something, molecules in the air enter our nose and stimulate chemoreceptors, allowing us to recognize odors. Chemoreceptors are also believed to be the oldest type of sensory receptor, meaning they have existed since ancient organisms. showing how essential they are for survival, such as finding food or sensing danger. So, let's go for nociceptors. Nociceptors. It responds to noxious stimuli, or essentially anything that causes tissue damage. It detects tissue damage, not detect pain. Our brain interprets perceived tissue damage as painful. Thermoreceptors. It responds to heat or cold. So, this tells us that nociceptors are receptors that detect anything harmful to our body, like extreme pressure, cuts, or burns. However, they don't actually feel pain directly. What happens is that nociceptors send a signal to the brain, and the brain interprets that signal as pain. So, pain is actually the brain's way of telling us that something is wrong or dangerous. Meanwhile, thermoreceptors respond to changes in temperature. They help us feel whether it's something is hot or cold. For instance, when we touch ice, thermoreceptors in our skin detect the cold temperature and send signals to the brain. These receptors are also help our body maintain the right temperature balance. So that's all.
The last part is the comparison of plants and animals in terms of their sensory and motor mechanism. So, plants and animals can respond to their surroundings but buhatin nila in different ways. Para sa plants, wa sila brain or nerves like animals pero maka-sense o react karon sila sa changes sa environment. Mogamit sila specialized cells to detect things like light, gravity, and touch. For example, plants grow toward sunlight. Tawag ana phototropism. Or the roots grow downward due to gravity. Ang tawag po na gravitropism. Then, when it comes to motor mechanisms, plants don't move their whole bodies like animals, but they can move parts of themselves through growth movements or changes in turgor pressure. Ang pasabot, pressure inside their cells. Then, sa animals, things are a lot more advanced. Na sila specialized organs like mata, ilong, ears, and skin na makadetect of different stimuli or changes. Then the nervous systems helps them send messages very quickly from sensory organs to the brain. Mo na mo decide og unsay i-respond. For example, kung mo hawid kag bisag unsa nga init, your thermoreceptors and pain receptors mo diretso og signal sa brain para tanggalon imong kamot adto. Mo nang imong motor mechanism in action using your muscle controlled by the nervous system. Then, animals have 5 main sensory receptors. First is photoreceptors para sa light, mo nang sa imong mata. Mechanoreceptors for sound or touch, like in your ears and skin. Then, chemoreceptors for detecting chemicals or taste and smell. Then thermoreceptors mo tong para sa temperature. Then pain receptors is for sensing tissue damages. And all of these work together para makahelp sa animals, including us, humans, para makasurvive by sensing danger, finding food, and interacting with the environment.
So overall, both plants and animals have sensory and motor mechanism that help nga survive and adapt. In animals, involved siya sa brain and nerves, while in plants pod, they use hormones and natural reaction to response. That's all for our report. Thank you for listening.